Hi, Capricorn. So this is the second week of August 2022, and that's going to extend from the 7th through to the 14th of August. So the first couple of days, it's showing a little bit of disappointment, okay? There's changing energies and stimulation and excitement, but there's fear. There's fear of conflict, instability, loss of possibly some emotional aspect, okay? Now, it's almost like in a point in time you were hiding something or you were hiding from something, whether that be an emotional situation that you couldn't deal with, whether it be, as we said in the first week, perhaps you were dealing with someone's behavioral issue or maybe even your own behavioral issue, okay? And so there's that fear of coming forward and saying, okay, this is what you need to know, and how do you feel about it? And you're scared about the reaction, okay? So it does talk about a lot of things going on. Something is going to draw you out into the wider world, and it talks about you having to make a connection with a male figure from your past um, in order to benefit what you're going through. So if you have a child who has behavioral problems, perhaps that child needs to connect with something from their past, okay? If it's you, maybe you need to connect. And because it's a male figure, it's perhaps you dealing with an issue with your father or the male mentor that you had in your life or the role model that fulfilled, whether it be male, female, or other words, what would fulfill that voice of authority for you, okay? That strong, stalwart type of energy. And so perhaps you're having to reconnect with this person from the past, or with your memories of this person, or with the truth of something from the past, okay? Now, it is drawing you out into the wider world, and it talks about you having to choose between two equally important situations, important people, important circumstances, or situations, or even choices in relationships. You're having to choose between something, okay? And you feel almost cut loose emotionally. You feel like you're overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed. You have conflicting emotions. Perhaps you're having to choose between your loyalty to one person and your loyalty to another. And the truth is, the loyalty needs to lie inside. And if you have children and you're choosing whether to confront an issue that your child is facing because of something from the past, something that they feel stripped from the past, okay? If you're having to choose between two options, you choose your damn child. If you have to choose between, let's say you're a single parent, and it is male energy coming up, so you have to choose between perhaps a partner from the past and your child. There's no contest here. You choose your child. And if your child needs to know something, your child needs to focus, or your child needs help to deal with something, you choose your damn child. That child is a gift. That child is a gift from the divine, okay? Whoever your affiliation may be spiritually. That child is a gift, and you focus on that child. Just a little tidbit. Now, it does talk about you having conflicting emotions, having to make this choice, and adjusting to changing dynamics in the relationship because of you having to make this choice, okay? Stability is shaken in a relationship, and it's going to happen, especially if you're having to call somebody on their rhetoric or their bullshit, right? So as we're moving into the middle part of that, what week are we in? The second week. It does talk about change coming. It talks about having to prepare for the unexpected, and perhaps it's going to you're going to feel a little bit disorientated. Let's put it that way, okay? And something is going to come to its natural progression, to an end, okay? Something needs to end in your life, and perhaps you need to relearn something. And growth is going to come from a circumstance that perhaps you wish wouldn't happen. Maybe you don't want to deal with this. Maybe you are separated from a relationship and you have to reconnect with that relationship because of something perhaps a child is dealing with, okay? And you don't really want to go that route. You really don't want to go back to the past. You really don't want to deal with this shit. You just want to go forward. But for your child's benefit, maybe you have to. Maybe you have to look at a situation, a circumstance, or a relationship from the past that maybe screwed your kid up, and you're having to deal with that. And you know what? Whether you want to do it or not, you should. You should run with it. But it does talk about once you're able to face your fears, okay? Growth is going to come from that circumstance. Now, it does talk about a second chance in a relationship, possibly a relationship from the past, a second chance to fix it, to do things right. Perhaps the relationship with your child, with your parents, with your friends, with your coworker, with an ex-lover, with an ex-partner, whoever it may be, okay? Now, the very last 2 days of that second week, lo and behold, you must have done what it took. You must have made the right choice. Listen up, Capricorn, because it says you're feeling emotionally satisfied. However, you may be a little discontented with your environment, right? You're not ready to make a decision to move or to take action to move to a new location, a new situation, right? You need a better obstacle of indeed what obstacles are going to stop you from moving forward. But you have this strong, strong sense of responsibility. And if you're raising children, if you're in a situation where that sense of responsibility, maybe you're taking care of an elderly parent, okay? You're looking at the responsibilities and you're feeling that pressure. I can't just disappear. I can't just up and run. I can't just quit my job, okay? Because you're feeling that pressure to conform to social expectations. But listen, Capricorn, social expectations are just freaking that. They're social expectations. And, you know, a semblance of them, of having, you know, the right way, acting the right way in society. Yes, of course, we all, I mean, where would we be without law enforcement? We would be one screwed up country or world, I can tell you that much, especially with the shit that goes on. But, you know, sometimes society expects more of us than we're willing to give. They expect blood, body, and soul. And, you know, sometimes you have to save your soul and your body for yourself and those you love, okay? Now, you might be feeling pressured to make a certain amount of money or buy a home or be married if you have children or have a car and on and on and on and have social status and bullshit. There's buses. You don't need to have a car. Okay? I'm proof of that because I sold my car. And I'm okay. I'm cool with that. Marriage, how many single parents are there in the world? I was one, and my kids are all highly intelligent. They all have very, very good jobs. And taxpayers, they're all taxpayers, huh? Social status. What good is social status? Wasn't there Ivanka Trump? She had social status, she had beauty, she had intelligence, she had money, and it still didn't save her, okay? The fancy stairs that she fell down were her demise. She was a beautiful woman, an intelligent woman. And something superficial took her life. And that was a waste. That was a waste of her life. She was, I don't know if you have read in the news about her, but she was an amazing woman and beautiful. And, you know, she came from a country where she wasn't allowed those freedoms. And she thrived in her freedom, okay? So kind of take a word of heed from that, okay? Her freedoms were sequestered at one time, and when she finally got them, she thrived on them. So now, would you, as a Capricorn, okay, would you give up your freedoms because of social expectations to live by somebody else's rules? It's not going to happen, but you will thrive in your own time. It does talk about you overlooking something. It talks about a solution to your problems is right in front of you. And it's talking about tensions with your family members are going to go smoother when you take control of whatever's taking place in your life, whether it's being behaviors, whether it's addictions, whether it's being social expectations. When you take control of your life, other people are they're going to meld with you. They're going to realize they can't shit on you anymore, okay? And that you're not their sounding board, okay? You're not their battering ram. So good things are coming. But it does talk about you repressing your feelings in some way. And you're clinging to things or situations that aren't good for you, okay? It does talk about you dealing with stress, mental stress, and you need help. You need professional help. It says someone to talk to, a mentor, someone a professional, maybe a counselor, maybe a psychologist, maybe a doctor, maybe just someone who is a peer or a role model, okay? It does talk about you moving, and that's not a bad thing. renovating, talks about roommates or visitors coming. It talks about you spending more time at home. Now, it also talks about you failing to appreciate the love of someone close to you. And perhaps you're bored with a relationship. You're bored with a relationship, a way of life. Maybe, we are on summer vacation and maybe you're going to school or you're in a job situation where in the summer you're laid off and maybe you're bored with that. Maybe you're bored with that situation or that education or being at home all the time. Maybe you want to go on a trip. Maybe you need an adventure. But it does talk about you having this fear of being vulnerable. You're scared to open up to people. You're scared to tell people how you feel because you're scared they're not going to understand. So be aware that, give them a chance. Perhaps this person will understand, okay? But you got to be able to take that risk. You have to be strong enough inside to be able to be vulnerable. And indeed, that's at the point of time that you're in as we're into that second week, moving into the third. So I shall see you over in the third, and let's see if you let your guard down enough to move forward. Okay, namaste.